Welcome to English speaking class. Guys, girls and my students, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are gonna use the use of whose. Whose is commonly used for queries and questions and in interrogative sentences. Whose is said to be an adjective of question. It's an adjective which asks questions, and we have to make a practice with these commonly spoken phrases, sentences in which whose is commonly used. Let's start behind on the whiteboard and see how the phrases and sentences are constructed with the help of whose. Let's start up here. You see, my students, whose daughter is this? Whose daughter is this? Whose daughter is this? ये किसकी बेटी है? Whose daughter is this? Whose daughter is this? Whose daughter is this? Such as whose mother is this? Whose mother is this? Whose mom is this? Whose mom is this? Whose daughter is this? ये किसकी बेटी है? 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 Whose mother is this? Whose mother is this? ये किसकी वालदा है? Whose mom is this? Whose mom is this? ये किसकी वालदा है? Here you see the first phrase. Whose daughter is this? Whose daughter is this? So a question is asked with the help of whose, and whose is written in the stat to make a question. Whose daughter is this? Whose mom is this? Whose mother is this? Whose mother is this? ये किसकी बेटी है? ये किसकी वालदा है? Let's see the next phrase with whose. Next one is whose body is this? Whose body is he? Whose body is he? Whose body is this? Whose body is he? Whose body is he? वो किसका दोस्त है? Whose body is he? Whose body is he? Whose body is he? वो किसका दोस्त है? Buddy means close friend. Buddy means close friend. Buddy means very close friend. Whose buddy is he? वो किसका दोस्त है? 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 Buddy means friend. This is also a very interesting phrase. This is commonly spoken in English societies. Let's see the next phrase. Next one is whose palace is this? Whose palace is this? Whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? Whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? Whose palace is this? Whose palace is this? Whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? Whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? Whose means किसका, palace means, palace is a noun, महल is a helping word, and this means ये. This is a demonstrative pronoun to indicate, it indicates, it points to. So this is a questionary pronoun. So whose palace is this? Demonstrative pronoun. This is a demonstrative pronoun. This is here a demonstrative pronoun. Whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? Whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? Whose means किसका. Palace is a noun. Palace means महल. Is a helping verb. Is means head, and this means ये. This means ये. This is used as an demonstrative pronoun here. It demonstrates its answer to something. So whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? Whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? Let's see the next phrase. आइए अगला जुमला देखते हैं. Whose house is that? Whose house is that? Whose house is that? वो किसका घर है? Whose house is that? Whose house is that? वो किसका घर है? Whose house is that? Whose house is that? वो किसका घर है? My students, you see here that whose is an interrogative adjective, house is a noun, and is as an helping verb, and that is used here as an demonstrative pronoun. So that is a demonstrative pronoun that points out to something. Demonstrative pronouns are those words that point out to other things. So whose house is that? Whose house is that? वो किसका घर है? Whose house is that? वो किसका घर है? Whose house is that? Whose house is that? वो किसका घर है? A beautiful phrase. Let's see the next phrase with the help of whose. Let's see here. Whose sons are they? 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 वो किसके बेटे हैं? Whose sons are they? Whose sons are they? वो किसके बेटे हैं? 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 Let's see the next phrase. You see, next one is whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? वो किसकी मंगेतर है? Whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? वो किसकी मंगेतर है? Whose spouse is she? Whose is an interrogative adjective. Spouse is a noun. Is a verb, helping verb, and she is a pronoun and object here. Whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? वो किसकी मंगेतर है? Whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? वो किसकी मंगेतर है? Whose spouse is she? वो किसकी मंगेतर है? Whose spouse is she? वो किसकी मंगेतर है? Let's see the next phrase. Next one is whose shrine is that? Whose shrine is that? Whose shrine is that? Whose shrine is that? वो किसका मज़ार है? Whose means किसका? Shrine means मज़ार. Shrine means मज़ार. मज़ार is means है. That means वो. Whose shrine is that? 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 वो किसका मज़ार है? 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 My students, in this phrase you see that whose is an interrogative adjective, and after whose there are certain nouns. Shrine is a noun. It's a name of a sandstone. Shrine, and is a helping verb, and that is a demonstrative pronoun that points out to something, some place. A demonstrative pronoun points out towards some other noun, some other place, thing, or object, or an object. So these are very interesting phrases. Let's repeat them again. ढाई दिलचस्प जुमले हैं. आइए इन्हें एक बार फिर से दोहराते हैं. These phrases are commonly used in speaking. इन जुमलों का आमतौर पे अंग्रेजी बोलचाल में इस्तेमाल किया जाता है. Let's have a say again. आइए इन्हें एक बार फिर से दोहराते हैं, पढ़ते हैं. Whose daughter is this? Whose daughter is this? Whose daughter is this? Whose daughter is this? वो ये किसकी बेटी है? Whose daughter is this? ये किसकी बेटी है? Whose daughter is this? ये किसकी बेटी है? And next is whose buddy is he? Whose buddy is he? Whose buddy is he? Whose buddy is he? वो किसका दोस्त है? Whose buddy is he? वो किसका दोस्त है? Whose buddy is he? Whose buddy is he? वो किसका दोस्त है? And next is whose palace is this? Whose palace is this? Whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? Whose palace is this? Whose palace is this? ये किसका महल है? 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 And next is whose house is that? Whose house is that? Whose house is that? वो किसका घर है? Whose house is that? Whose house is that? वो किसका घर है? Whose house is that? वो किसका घर है? And next is whose sons are they? Whose sons are they? Whose sons are they? वो किसके बेटे हैं? Whose sons are they? Whose sons are they? वो किसके बेटे हैं? Whose sons are they? Whose sons are they? Whose sons are they? वो किसके बेटे हैं? Whose sons are they? वो किसके बेटे हैं? And next is whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? वो किसकी मंगेतर है? Whose spouse is she? Whose spouse is she? वो किसकी मंगेतर है? Whose spouse is she? वो किसकी मंगेतर है? And last one is whose shrine is that? Whose shrine is that? Whose shrine is that? वो किसका मज़ार है? Whose shrine is that? वो किसका मज़ार है? Whose shrine is that? Whose shrine is that? वो किसका मज़ार है? Whose shrine is that? वो किसका मज़ार है? Hey my students, these are very interesting phrases commonly used in speaking, and today we have seen the use of interrogative adjectives. Make a good practice